Well, joining us now to shed some light on those most recent comments of Secretary of State Marco Rubio, as well as the current situation when it comes to the nuclear talks, is Clifford May, the founder and president of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Cliff, thank you so much for joining us today. Always a pleasure to have you on. To start, what's your reaction to Secretary Rubio's comments? Is this a change in U.S. policy, what he mentioned about allowing some form of a nuclear civilian program without enrichment?
I think there's been some disagreement within this administration over how these negotiations should go and what should be allowed. I think Secretary Rubio is kind of trying to bring together the different factions within the administration. Look, the problem is that the Iranian side is very good at these kinds of negotiations. They've been doing it a very long time. They did it very well during the Obama administration. They beat Obama in those negotiations. The JCPOA, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which was not comprehensive and wasn't a plan of action, was very good for the regime in Tehran, and not good in terms of U.S. interests or certainly Israeli interests. I think there's a real danger now that the Iranian side is going to drag out these negotiations as long as possible, or see if they can't get a JCPOA 2.0, one that will be just as good for them and just as bad for the U.S. And on the U.S. side, the negotiators that we have right now for President Trump, well, let's say they've got a very steep learning curve that they have to climb.
Now, we did see Special Envoy Steve Witkoff wavering between minimal levels of enrichment and none at all. And what is the danger of allowing this 3.67 enrichment? What does that actually mean? Could you explain a little bit for our viewers?
Yeah, I'm no physicist, but I'll try to do it as simply as I can. Well, look, first of all, you want no enrichment whatsoever. Our allies who have peaceful nuclear energy, they don't have enrichment. They get their nuclear rods from other places, from the U.S., for example. There's no reason for the Islamic Republic of Iran, the leading sponsor of terrorism in the world today, which has been shouting death to America for almost 50 years. No reason for them to do any enrichment at all. If they're doing enrichment at a low level like that, it's very easy to get up from 3.5, 3.67% to 60%, and then that's almost 90%, and now you're talking weapons grade. Too much in the media, not on ILTV, but others. They say, well, but the Iranians insist that their nuclear development programs are entirely peaceful. That can't be taken seriously at any point. It's not the case. You don't build under mountains if you're trying to have nuclear energy to air-conditioned kindergartens and provide electricity for hospitals. That's not what they're about here. We know they have a nuclear weapons development program. We know that they are genocidal when it comes to Israel. We know that various people in their government has said that Israel is a one nuclear bomb country. In other words, that's all it would take to commit a genocide, which they are in favor of. So there's no reason for them to have any. Now, they don't need to enrich, but that requires some serious pressure from the Trump administration to say that. And it's easy for somebody like Steve Witkoff, who doesn't know, to say, well, 3.67%, that's so little. Why is that a problem? He's not a nuclear physicist either. But it is a problem if they have any enrichment whatsoever. And it is a problem if if any new agreement looks anything like the JCPOA.
Absolutely. Now, we've seen many Iranians who have actually been protesting against really any deal with the mullahs. Why is the U.S. insisting otherwise? I mean, can any deal with the Islamic Republic of Iran actually be trusted?
No, it can. There's no deal that can be trusted. Can there be verification? There can be, but it's very difficult to do, particularly when you talk about such things as weaponization. Weaponization, which means you've got the enriched uranium and you're making it into a warhead, and then you want to fit it onto the top of a missile, including an ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missile. That means it could reach the United States, not just Israel. That kind of thing can be done in the, sort of a space the size of your studios. So you want to be very careful about that. This regime does not want to give up its pursuit of nuclear weapons. It's been doing this for a very long time.
All right. Well, we're unfortunately out of time, but I do want to thank you for joining us. Clifford May from the Foundation for Defense of Democracies.
Thanks, Emily.